Welcome to Benny Stories, the home of timeless folk tales and powerful life lessons. Hit subscribe, tap the bell, and give a quick thumbs up. Now, let's dive straight into today's story. The sun rose brightly over Enugu, casting a golden glow across the sky as Adaeze prepared for what she believed would be the happiest day of her life. The church grounds were adorned with thousands of fresh flowers imported from abroad, towering chandeliers hung from temporary fixtures, and fleets of luxury cars lined the street. Guests in expensive lace and glittering jewelry gossiped as they took their seats, marveling at the extravagance. For Adaeze, this wedding was not just about love. It was proof that she had made the right choice. Her fiancé, Obinna, had presented himself as a wealthy businessman who had made his fortune in oil and real estate. Everything about him screamed success. His Italian suits, his imported cars, the way people deferred to him in public. Today, as she prepared to walk down the aisle, she felt like a queen ascending her throne. But beneath the glitz, whispers were already starting. An older aunt in the crowd frowned as she studied the groom. "That face looks familiar," she muttered, her voice drowned out by the choir's opening hymn. "Where have I seen him before?" The ceremony went on flawlessly. Cameras flashed, journalists scribbled notes, and Adaeze's family basked in the glow of societal approval. Yet as she exchanged vows, Obinna's hand trembled slightly in haze. His eyes darted to the crowd too often, as though searching for someone, or hiding from them. When they sealed the vows with a kiss, applause thundered through the hall. To everyone, it was a perfect wedding. To Adaeze, it was a dream she had prayed for. To Obinna, it was something else entirely. The reception was even grander than the wedding. A 7-tier cake towered over the ballroom. Musicians from Lagos performed live, and guests were served endless rounds of champagne. Adaeze floated among them, glowing in her designer gown, accepting compliments about her new husband. But then, it happened. As the couple made their rounds, a frail elderly woman, one of Adaeze's distant relatives, grabbed her arm tightly. Her voice trembled as she pointed at Obinna. "Child, do you know who you married? That boy used to run errands in Chief Okonkwo's house. He fetched water, polished shoes, and washed cars. I remember him clearly." Adaeze laughed nervously, pulling her arm away. "Mama, you must be mistaken. That's Obinna, a businessman." She forced a smile, but her pulse quickened. Throughout the evening, she couldn't shake the old woman's words. As she looked at her husband, sipping wine and boasting about his company in Abuja, she studied his face differently. His smile seemed practiced, his laugh too polished. And suddenly, the memory flickered. Years ago, hadn't she seen a boy just like him carrying bag behind a wealthy politician at a party? She shook it off, convincing herself she was just overwhelmed. Still, as she danced that night, something cold settled deep in her stomach. After the festivities, Adaeze expected to settle into her new home, the palatial mansion Obinna had always hinted at. But when they arrived, she was taken aback. The house was big, yes, but strangely empty. Expensive furniture filled only the front rooms, as if stayed for guests, while the upstairs rooms were barren and dusty. "Where are the staff?" Adaeze asked. "I thought you had people managing the house." "They are on holiday," Obinna replied too quickly, brushing past her. He avoided her gaze, muttering about renovations. As Adaeze explored, she noticed doors locked with heavy chains, windows sealed, and entire sections of the house left unused. The neighbors across the street watched silently, their expressions unreadable. One even spat on the ground as Obinna waved. Something wasn't right. The man she married felt like a stranger in his own home. That night, as Obinna snored beside her, Adaeze lay awake, staring at the ceiling. For the first time, the dream of a wedding felt like a prison she had willingly entered. Days later, while arranging her things, Adaeze stumbled upon a dusty old box in the wardrobe. Inside were photographs, grainy, sun-bleached images of Obinna as a teenager. In the pictures, he wore plain clothes, his face sweaty as he carried trays of food and polished shoes. Behind him in the photos stood the same Chief Okonkwo's mansion, where Adaeze once attended events as a guest. Her heart pounded. The old woman was right. Obinna had been an errand boy. When she confronted him that evening, Obinna laughed. "Ah, my dear, everyone starts somewhere. Yes, I worked in Chief Okonkwo's house. But look at me now. I built myself up. What matters is the man I am today." His words were smooth, but Adaeze felt unease creeping in. If he had nothing to hide, why hadn't he told her from the beginning? Why did he insist on presenting himself as a wealthy businessman instead of being proud of his humble beginnings? The trust she once felt began to crack. Eager to distract herself, Adaeze visited the market to buy household supplies. But the moment she stepped in, the atmosphere changed. Women paused mid-conversation, eyes darting toward her. Then came the whispers. "That's her, the one who married the errand boy. And, after all her family's money, see what she fell for. She thought she was marrying a prince. Meanwhile, he used to scrub floors." The words hit Adaeze like stones. She felt her throat tighten, her hands shake as she clutched her basket. One bold trader laughed openly and shouted, "Madam Errand boy, welcome, oh." Humiliated, Adaeze rushed back home in tears. When she confronted Obinna, he waved it off. Jealous people will always talk. Forget them. But Adaeze couldn't forget. The whispers followed her everywhere, echoing in her mind. The seed of doubt had grown roots, and now it was spreading through her marriage like wildfire. Adaeze couldn't let the whispers rest. She needed answers. One afternoon, she told Obinna she was visiting her parents, but instead took a driver to the neighborhood where Obinna had once lived. The dusty, crowded compound told its own story. Children played barefoot in the sand. Women sold a car at the roadside, and the men drank palm wine under a tree. When she asked about Obinna, the residents erupted in laughter. "Ah, Obinna the errand boy? That one who used to carry Chief Okonkwo's briefcases? He's now claiming to be a big man," one man scoffed. Another woman shook her head. "That boy never had money. Always chasing rich girls, always dreaming bigger than his pocket." Adaeze's throat tightened as the truth unfolded. Her husband wasn't the businessman he claimed to be. He had carefully constructed a life of pretense. Returning home, she studied him with fresh eyes, his expensive clothes, his polished speech, his dramatic gestures. All of it was a mask. And Adaeze began to wonder, if his wealth was a lie, what else was he hiding? The following weekend, Adaeze and Obinna attended a family gathering. He bragged loudly about his oil company, claiming to have just signed a multi-million-dollar deal in Abuja. Guests clapped and nodded, impressed by his charisma. But Adaeze was done believing words. Quietly, she excused herself and called her cousin Chitara, who worked in a top bank. "Can you check if Obinna has any registered accounts tied to a company?" she whispered. Hours later, Chitara called back with the chilling truth. There were no records, no company, no contracts, no evidence of wealth. Everything Obinna flaunted was fiction. That night, Adaeze confronted him. "You lied to me. There is no company, no oil business, nothing." Obinna's face hardened. "Adaeze, wealth is perception. If people believe you are rich, then you are rich. Don't ruin what we've built because of technicalities." His arrogance shook her to her core. She realized she hadn't married a businessman. She had married a con man. Adaeze's world collapsed further when, one stormy evening, a furious woman barged into their compound. Her name was Amaka, and she wasted no time. "Obinna, you shameless liar," she screamed. "You used me. You begged for my money, promised me marriage, and now you're here living off another woman." Adaeze froze, her blood running cold. Amaka pulled out receipts, transfers, and even love letters Obinna had written. "Every suit he wears, every car he drives, it's my money," she spat. The confrontation was explosive. Neighbors gathered at the gate, eager for drama. Obinna tried to silence Amaka, but she shoved him aside and faced Adaeze directly. "Sister, don't be deceived. This man is a fraud. He will ruin you like he ruined me." For the first time, Adaeze felt her marriage unravel publicly. Her so-called dream husband was nothing more than a parasite, living off women's wealth. That night, Adaeze sat in silence, her mind spinning. Obinna tried to explain, saying Amaka was an obsessed ex who wouldn't let go. But Adaeze couldn't ignore the documents, the proof, the anger in Amaka's eyes. Her trust, already fragile, now shattered completely. She replayed their courtship, his lavish dates, the sudden gifts, the smooth talk. Had he been using her family's name all along to climb higher? Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "Who are you, Obinna? Because the man I thought I married doesn't exist." Obinna knelt, clutching her hands. "I did everything to be worthy of you. I couldn't come as a poor errand boy. I had to become somebody. Can't you see I did it all for us?" But his words no longer reached her. Adaeze saw not love, but manipulation. The man she vowed to spend her life with had built their marriage on lies, and she wasn't sure she could ever forgive him. The next day, the scandal exploded. Amaka, bitter and vengeful, took her story online. Social media lit up with posts, memes, and videos mocking Adaeze's fairy tale wedding. Headlines read, "Society lady marries ex-errand boy, and from shoes to suits, Obinna's big scam." Adaeze's parents were devastated. Her mother wept openly, lamenting, "We thought we gave you to a man of wealth. Instead, we gave you to shame." Her father's anger was harsher. "You must leave him. This family name cannot be dragged through the mud any further." But leaving wasn't simple. Adaeze was caught between loyalty, love, and humiliation. Every outing became torture. Neighbors whispered. Friends avoided her. Strangers pointed fingers. She had become a walking headline. That night, Obinna tried to comfort her, insisting the storm would pass. But Adaeze knew better. This wasn't just a scandal. It was the beginning of a deepest downfall. It was barely dawn when Adaeze was awakened by loud banging on the gate. Men's voices thundered outside, demanding Obinna's presence. Terrified, she peered through the curtain and saw 4 rugged men pacing, their faces hard and unforgiving. "Tell your husband to come out," one shouted. "He owes us millions. Today, he must pay." Obinna stumbled out, trying to calm them with his usual charm. But they weren't buying it. They shoved him against the wall, listing loans, gambling debts, and unpaid deals. Adaeze's heart sank. Everything, the cars, the house, even her dream wedding, was borrowed money. When she tried to speak, one of the men sneered. "Madam, your fine clothes won't save you. Your husband is a fraud. If he doesn't pay soon, you both will pay in shame." They left, promising to return. The compound was silent again, but Adaeze's world was shattered. The dream life she imagined was nothing but smoke and mirrors. After the debt collector's visit, Adaeze locked herself in the bedroom, weeping until her voice cracked. Every lie, every humiliation replayed in her mind. She felt like she had been living in a movie, one where she was a naive character, blind to the truth. When Obinna entered, she turned her face away. "Why, Obinna? Why would you drag me into this? Wasn't I enough? Why did you need to lie?" He knelt, his voice trembling. "I wanted to give you the life you deserve. No one respects a poor man. I had to create the image, and then the success would follow. But I lost control." His excuses only fueled her rage. "You didn't just lose control. You used me. You used my family, my name, my love." For the first time since the wedding, Adaeze admitted to herself her marriage wasn't just a mistake. It was a trap, and she didn't know how much longer she could survive in it. If Adaeze thought things couldn't get worse, she was wrong. Days later, a popular gossip blog dropped a bombshell article, "From Errand Boy to Fake Billionaire, the Obinna Story." The post included old photos of Obinna carrying trays in Chief Okonkwo's house, testimony from neighbors about his poverty, and even Amaka's receipts of the money she spent on him. Social media erupted. Hashtags like #ErrandBoyWedding and #FakeBillionaire trended for days. Adaeze couldn't step outside without facing ridicule. Strangers laughed openly when they saw her. Market women shouted, "Madam Errand Boy, buy tomatoes." Children mimicked her in the street. Her phone buzzed nonstop with messages. Friends distanced themselves. Business partners cut ties with her father's company to avoid bad luck. Adaeze became a living joke, her once proud family name dragged through the mud. It was a nightmare, one she couldn't wake up from. Humiliated and heartbroken, Adaeze decided she needed to reclaim her life. Quietly, she began reaching out to old friends, asking for job opportunities, anything that could help her stand on her own. At night, while Obinna boasted about how the scandal would blow over, Adaeze secretly packed documents, jewelry, and some cash. She rehearsed her escape in her mind. Leave when Obinna was away, go to her cousin in Lagos, and start fresh. But Obinna wasn't blind. He noticed her secret phone calls, her distant behavior, her hidden bags. One evening, he cornered her. "Where do you think you're going? Adaeze? You're my wife. You can't leave me." His voice wasn't pleading anymore. It was controlling. For the first time, Adaeze felt real fear, not just of shame, but of the man she had married. A week later, an unexpected visitor arrived. Obinna's estranged mother, Maman Neka. She was a frail woman, her eyes heavy with sorrow. She asked Adaeze to sit, and with trembling hands, she told her the truth. "My son, Obinna grew up with nothing. He was ashamed of his poverty. Even as a child, he swore he would never be poor again. He promised me he would marry into wealth, no matter the cost." Adaeze's chest tightened. Maman Neka continued, "I beg him to be honest, to work hard, but he was always chasing shortcuts, always pretending to be more than he was. He believes lies can become truth if you act them long enough." The old woman's voice cracked with tears. "Don't hate him too much, my daughter. He is a broken boy trying to wear a man's clothes." For Adaeze, the words were both heartbreaking and infuriating. She now saw Obinna clearly, not just as a liar, but as a man who had built his entire life on deception. And she realized, unless she acted soon, he would destroy her too.